everybody, how are you doing? So many people know that New York's Penn Station is in disrepair. The platforms are run down and overcrowded. Penn Station has 21 platforms and it is served by 300,000 commuters every single day. Meanwhile, Grand Central has 66 platforms and it is served by half the amount of commuters. Penn Station is very, very overcrowded. People from New Jersey and Long Island have to rely on Penn Station every single day to serve as their alighting point in America's global city of New York City. What's more than the station itself, however, though, is how you get to the station. Currently, there are only 7 tracks that converge at Penn Station. There are 2 across the Hudson River, 1 from the Amtrak Empire Line, and 4 across the East River which connect to Queens and Eastern Long Island. Now once you have 1 or 2 of these tracks in disrepair or maintenance, you will be in big trouble. And that's what's going to happen sadly in 3 periods spanning from 2017 to 2018. During these periods, Amtrak is going to take minor repairs of both of the Hudson River tunnels one by one, which will take place one period in July 2017, the second period in August 2017, and the third at an undisclosed time in 2018. So during these time periods, you will only have 1 tunnel in operation under the Hudson River. This will mean that many trains will have to be cancelled, there will be train double-ups, trains will be overcrowded, Penn Station problems become even worse as people on delayed trains would have to wait in the already overcrowded station. Lots of things. There is no room for error. Both of these train tracks need to be in operation for this current setup to even mildly function well. And when you have 1 track out of service, what's going to happen? Complete chaos. And that's what's about to happen. Now I know this will fix, but at the rate of which Amtrak is doing this, it's going to be like 5 years until they'll have to repair one of these tunnels again. So I am heavily in support of both Governors Cuomo and Christie in shifting Penn Station to a private operator. Now that being said, I think Penn Station should be heavily regulated by the government, because the main goal of any private entity is to make a profit. And profit and citizens, especially in a tough place like Penn Station, they're not going to go well. So I think heavily regulating Penn Station but running it by a private operator who has experience in managing a big infrastructure system like Penn Station will probably be the most effective compromise. So with that out of the way, let's get into what I'm planning to do. So a couple years back, I made a proposal that proposed a second Hudson River tunnel connecting directly from Grand Central under the Hudson River to just north of Hoboken to connect to the North Jersey, New Jersey transit lines. However, I've gotten feedback from that Webeo and I've made some modifications to that. And this proposal right here will directly connect the east side access terminal of Grand Central, which is currently under construction, with a new station just north of Penn Station, which I'm going to be calling Penn Station North. And then this will go under the Hudson River through 2 new tunnels. So the capacity, the maximum capacity under the Hudson River will increase from 2 tunnels to 4 tunnels. Not only will it increase capacity, but it will allow more flexibility in the event that 1 or more tracks have to be out of service. And these will connect to an upgraded Northeast Corridor line, which will be 4 tracks through Secaucus Junction and will require the replacement of the Portal Bridge, which is only 2 tracks right now and in disrepair. The bridge itself is more than 100 years old. And this will connect to the Kearney Junction right here, where the tracks expand. There are probably 8 tracks here until it goes to Harrison and Newark Penn Station. So this portion right here, which is probably the busiest portion of the entire New Jersey transit system, is 2 tracks currently. It will be 4 tracks under my new proposal. So before we get into the details of this project, I'm going to go through what all the colors mean, and I'm going to place a key down for reference. So for text, we have 3 colors. We have orange, which are current stations. So we have Grand Central specifically, This is the East Side Access Terminal, which is being under construction. Then we have Penn Station, or Penn Station North in this case, and we have Secaucus Junction. Secaucus Junction will be not modified under this proposal. We also have purple. Purple means projects already under construction that are relevant to my proposal. So in this case, we have East Side Access. So East Side Access's main mission is to connect trains from Long Island directly into Grand Central Terminal, and this will help relieve some pressure from Penn Station. Now, not all trains will be going to Grand Central, only some of them will. Some of them will continue to Penn Station, but when you add 8 tracks here, that will significantly reduce the load of Penn Station. The differences will be evident pretty quickly. Finally, we have green. Green are significant infrastructural projects. So we have the Portal Bridge replacement right here, and obviously the new Hudson Tunnel, and this tunnel will be 2 tracks. So for lines, or alignments as I call it, we have some other colors. We have 2 shades of blue. We have dark blue, which are single level tunnels. So I'm going to actually zoom in right now. I don't normally do this in the introduction section of a Webeo, but you have 2 parallel tunnels here. Each of them is only going to be 1 level. But once you get to the new Penn Station I've proposed right here, you see that the blue becomes light blue. Light blue is stacked. So each of these lines here is stacked tunnels. So the entire line from Penn Station to Grand Central, as I'm proposing it, will be 4 tracks. 2 tracks on top of another 2 tracks. Another form of tunnel comes in the form of violet. And this again is East Side Access. It has the same purpose as a purple text right here. It shows a construction project that will help the overall proposal that I'm doing. The 2 other colors, or actually 3 other colors rather, are yellow, green, and magenta. So yellow comes with an orange right here. So this yellow is the new alignment of the Portal Bridge of the 2 new tracks. And the orange will be, those are mentioning that this will have to be removed while this is in operation. So effectively, the new Portal Bridge will be constructed, then this will be removed and rebuilt. So this will allow consistent capacity. Green is new at grade alignment, so this is new alignment on the ground. And finally, magenta is new viaducts. And another thing is, double width lines signifies 2 tracks. So all these tunnels here are shown 2 tracks side by side, but they have 2 individual lines of single width. However, portions of the Northeast Corridor in Hudson County, New Jersey right here are wider. Because those 2 tracks are so close, I figured it would be more effective to just represent them as one single wider line. So with the colors out of the way, let's zoom in to Grand Central Terminal. So here we are at Grand Central Terminal, or more specifically, the under construction terminal under Grand Central that will serve the East Side Access trains from Long Island. This terminal, when completed, will have 8 tracks on 2 levels, so 4 on each level. It is located 130 feet below the street surface, so extending the lines further south of Grand Central's new East Side Access Terminal is feasible because there will not be any obstructions this far underneath Manhattan's surface. I know my initial proposal a couple years back, I said that tracks 38 to 42 are best for an extension across the Hudson River to New Jersey, and while tracks 38 to 42 do connect to the loop tracks of Grand Central and extending them would initially seem feasible, it turned out that the tracks would collide with the 42nd Street Shuttle, also known as the S train in New York City. The S train, like tracks 38 to 42, are both only 20 feet below the surface. In addition, if you extend it from the lower level tracks, you would hit the 7 line, which is located again around 60 feet below the surface, which is very similar to the level of Grand Central's lower tracks. So a very low track is required, very deep track. So the only way to do this, and probably a very effective way to do this in fact, is to connect it through to the East Side Access Terminal. And not only will this allow easy connections through New York City without bottlenecks with other lines, it turns out that the New Jersey Transit trains in a specific event that they need to travel to Sunnyside Yard and some of the tracks across the Hudson are closed or overcrowded, they could instead use these tracks to go up to the 63rd Street Tunnel, which is under construction as well, to go to Sunnyside Yard. So as I said, this currently under construction will be 8 tracks. Those 8 tracks will converge to 4 tracks, 2 on each level. So these 2 lines right here are actually 4 tracks. This is 2 tracks stacked on top of each other, and this line right here is also 2 tracks stacked on top of each other. So there are 4 tracks here, and the reason I'm keeping it 4 tracks instead of 2 is multifold. One, when you have 2 heavily used stations so close to each other, it would not be really economical, or in other words, it won't cost that much more to keep the tracks separate than have to go through the hassle of connecting bell mouths together with tunnels. It becomes a big pain. Also, there's a potential to store trains. So in the event that both the West Side Yard and Sunnyside Yard are overcrowded, any train from all 3 railroads can use extra space on these tracks right here, if it permits, to store trains. These lines right here, I'm proposing them to be both third rail and overhead electrified. So this will allow both Long Island Railroad trains and New Jersey Transit trains to use them. So these tunnels will continue under Park Avenue until approximately 37th Street, and then they will turn to the west and go just underneath 34th Street. Now I know it's going to go under many subway lines. Specifically, it goes under the BDFM line right here and the NQRW line right here, and it already had to go under both the Park Avenue Tunnel and 456 line. So the 456 line here is actually underneath the Park Avenue Tunnel, so that's a good 40-50 feet below the ground. But once you have tunnels 120 feet below the surface, there's not going to be much collision or even risk of collapse of the 456 line, even though that is already relatively deep. So before they get to Penn Station, I've proposed a connecting track. Now this connecting track is interesting. I'm going to show you a little later on some PowerPoint slides actually on the details on the tracks. So I'm proposing a track connecting the upper levels of these 2 stacked tracks right here. So this tunnel right here, as I said, 4 tracks, 2 tracks on each level. The upper 2 tracks will connect to this single track connecting to the northernmost of the 4 East River tunnels, which currently serves Long Island Railroad trains. And the main purpose of this is to allow New Jersey Transit trains to go directly to Sunnyside Yard from Penn Station North without having to go through the East Side Access Terminal under Grand Central and disturb those passengers. Now this is going to be pretty expensive because it turns out that the East River tunnels are actually constructed using cast iron, and there are no bell mounts for such an extension like this. So it's going to be pretty difficult, and at times one track will be out of service. I don't think this can be feasibly constructed until most other tunnels are done, especially the East Side Access and probably even these stacked tunnels right here. Now when these stacked tunnels are constructed, bell mouths should definitely be constructed to allow easy future expansion to provide a single track going to the East River tunnels. And all East River tunnels, despite popular belief, are powered by third rail and electrified wires overhead. So these lead to Penn Station North, and Penn Station North is another 8-track station. It is located just south of 34th Street, and it'll have escalators going to Penn Station itself and 35th Street. So I'm going to go through the details of the station, its depth, and its track layout right now. So this is a diagram I made of what Penn Station is currently in terms of its elevation. Now obviously this is not to scale, and this is just a representation of what's going on in this area. So we have the existing Penn Station right here, and I've represented that with this box. The existing tracks are 35 feet below the surface. They are still constructed in cut and cover nearby, but they have to sufficiently clear both the ACE line to the west and the 123 line to the east. So this had to be constructed below that. But just to the west and east, the lines descend in preparation to go underneath the rivers. There's the Empire connection right here, which stays at the relatively same level, and these serves Amtrak trains going to upstate New York. I've represented this circle right here to show that the tunnel turns and goes to the north, as this right here is looking directly north. So the New Jersey Transit and Amtrak trains go through the Hudson River tunnel right here, which are 2 tracks, and it reaches a maximum depth of 95 feet below the surface of the Hudson River. The East River tunnels are even deeper. They reach a depth of 102 feet below the surface. So this is what we are working with right now. Now next slide, I'm going to show you what changes are going to be made with my proposal. So this is it. So what I've done is Penn Station North right here will be very deep. The upper platform is 110 feet below the surface, and the lower platform is going to be 20 feet further below that. These tracks will directly connect with a new tunnel. Now this right here, this will go to a new tunnel parallel to the existing tunnel. So this right here is 2 tracks. This will be another 2 tracks going directly to the new Penn Station North. Now there will be a connection to the Empire connection right here. So this will take trains only from the upper level and connect them to the Empire connection further north. They'll eventually go to the surface and meet the existing Empire connection. So this will allow Amtrak trains some more room for operation, not to mention future provisions for Metro North operation into Penn Station, because now they have 2 tracks coming into the station rather than just 1. But you also have the lower level tracks, and now the lower level tracks are not directly served by the Empire connection or the connection I just described directly connecting to the East River tunnels. Only the upper level track will. And these here will connect to Grand Central. So as I said, these circles mean the tracks turn to the north. So these go, and imagine the tracks just suddenly going through your screen and further away from you. That's what I've tried to do my best. So with that out of the way, let's go to the track layout. So this is the track layout I've proposed for the new Penn Station. So there are 3 levels. Now I know I said Penn Station, the new one will be 2 levels, but they're technically 3 levels. Level 1, which is the lightest blue, is a lower station level, or level 1. And the numbers here represent the absolute, not the negative absolute elevation. So the closer you are to the surface, the higher the level is. So lower station level will be considered level 1, and it's the highest blue. And you can see where those lines are, and I'm going to discuss them in a little bit. We also have the upper station level, which is level 2. So level 1 is 130 feet below the surface, level 2 is 110 feet below the surface. Now the connecting tracks which connect to both the East River Tunnel and the Empire connection will be up to 90 feet below the surface. So 20 feet between each level of tracks. So from Grand Central, as I said, there are 4 tracks, 2 stacked. Now I didn't display them as directly stacked because I wanted to make this more representable to you, and obviously again this is not to scale, but so this is just an easy to understand diagram that I hope gets a point across. So these are 2 stacked tunnels, each with 2 tracks, 2 on the upper level, 2 on the lower level. So the East River Tunnel connection will allow trains to only go to the upper level tracks, not the lower level. The reason I've done that is because this, again, I'm not even sure if this is necessary. You could leave it in the comments if you think it is, but to connect this with both the upper and lower level tunnels would be ridiculously expensive. So just west of this, I have crossovers, both for the upper level and lower level. This will allow trains to go directly to whichever platform they desire. And as I said again, these tracks right here, at least during some times of the year, can be used as storage tracks. Also, where these crossovers connect, those will be at grade crossovers, obviously. They're the same level, there cannot be any bridge here. After that, each of the upper level and lower level will bifurcate into 2, serving the 8-track station. So these are going to be directly stacked on top of each other. I've drawn it like this, with the upper level platform in transparent black and the lower level platform in solid black. But in reality, I'm going to make this directly stacked on each other, and the next slide I'll show you with that. So this is what the station will be like, and then it's basically almost a mirror image of what there is to the east. So you have tracks going, you have the tracks converging, then you have a crossover for both the upper level and lower level. And then only the upper level tracks have access to the Empire connection. So these will connect to the Amtrak line going to upstate New York. Just west of this, the lower level tracks will increase elevation from 130 feet to 110 feet and join the two upper level tracks, and these tracks will go under the Hudson River through a new tunnel I'm going to discuss later. So let's go to what the exact station layout will be, and this is it right here. So as I said, 8 tracks, so I'm actually making 2 arches. When you make one arch, it's going to be much more expensive because you would have to make an arch span 4 tracks, and when you're this far underground, it's already expensive doing this when compared to one big arch. So I've proposed 2 arches that are discrete from one another, and I've labeled the tracks 101, 102 all the way up to 108. So 102, 101 rather, 102, 105 and 106 will be on the upper level, and the other ones will be on the lower level. Now from these platforms will be lifts and stairs, and these will go to a tickets hall located 40 feet above the upper level tracks or 70 feet below the surface. This station right here, remember, is 110 feet below the surface on the upper level tracks, 130 feet below the lower level tracks, 70 feet to approximately 50 feet below the surface. That's where the ticketing hall will be. So it's still sufficiently deep to construct. This escalator bank going to the south, as this is looking to the west, so this will be to the south. This will increase elevation by 35 feet to go to the station, the existing Penn Station. This one will go directly to 35th Street via a much longer escalator bank of a vertical rise of 70 feet and actual length of 140 feet. I'm proposing these escalators to be at 30-degree inclinations, which are a standard. Also, obviously, there are going to be lifts, specifically an elevator lift going directly to 34th Street, which is located directly above the station. There will also be others going to 35th Street and going to the existing Penn Station. So with that out of the way, let's go back to Google Earth and continue with the line. So after Penn Station, the tracks will continue as I just said, and again these will all be single level tracks now. So there are 2 new tracks going underneath the Hudson River, and this is in addition to the 2 existing tracks. So the speed through these tunnels will be designed of up to 90 miles per hour. There will be slightly wider bores to allow any future expansions with high-speed rail service. Now at the western end, there's an interesting thing I'm thinking of. So this red region right here is, as I call it, a region in distress, or in other words, area that will have to be removed or heavily modified to allow what I'm doing to easily occur. So I'm not too sure on this, and this depends on another proposal that I've done. So one of my Webeos, I proposed a railway line directly connecting eastern Hudson County to Rockland County and all the way up to New Windsor and Newburgh, New York. So this right here would serve as a connection to that line. So trains coming from Bergen County, Rockland County will use these tracks right here. And remember, magenta is viaduct, green is at grade alignment, and they will join to the existing, well not existing, the existing proposal of the new tunnels. Now to make this happen, the Tonnelle Avenue and its junction with Route 3 will have to be reworked. Specifically, Tonnelle Avenue will have to be reconstructed on a bridge that has pillars wide enough and the bridge tall enough to support such an extension. Also, Route 3 right here, just east of Route 495, will have to be built on a taller bridge. In fact, this portion right here will probably have to be built on an elevated segment. Now this will harm a few businesses, but I don't think it's going to be as much harm as good, especially if this line right here going to Rockland County and Orange County, New York goes under operation, because these people will finally have a one-seat access to Penn Station and New York City. So besides that, the 2 other tracks, the 2 main tracks will connect right here, and as I said before, a wider line represents 2 tracks really close to each other. because when you look far away, this will still look much more bold than 2 tracks further apart. And here I don't think it's necessary to depict the 2 individual tracks. So these will go at a ground alignment just northwest of the existing northeast corridor. Now remember, the northeast corridor is only 2 tracks. This proposal increases that count to 4 tracks. So there's going to be some more distressed regions near the bridge of Secaucus Road, and this will be a viaduct right here. Also, this company right here may have to sacrifice some of its parking spaces and maybe even the connection behind it to the southeast, but I don't think the building itself will be needed to be destroyed. So the line continues until just north of Secaucus Junction. So this is where the tracks will diverge again. So again, double width is 2 tracks, single width is 1 track. So these tracks will split from each other and go to the outsides. Now, as of now, I am not proposing an expansion of Secaucus Junction. I think the station is doing pretty well and it is not significantly over capacity. Especially, the station would be ridiculously expensive to increase capacity on, and to do that would require a big viaduct going over all of this or over Route 95, and that would be very expensive. And with the costs of building the new tunnel and later on the Portal Bridge replacement, I don't think it's worth it. But if you think it is, please leave that in the comments. Just south of Secaucus, you have the 2 outer tracks rejoined to form a new 2-track alignment, now this time to the south of the northeast corridor. However, we have these guys right here. These right here serve as connections to what could be a railway line connecting more directly with Montclair, Boonton, and eventually Dover, New Jersey. So this right here will go directly there, and I could show you where the line would go. It would go through northern Kearney, northern Newark, and Bloomfield before going through Glen Ridge and Montclair more directly than the current line through the Oranges and Newark Broad Street. So besides that, the main proposed lines will continue now to the south, and it'll have to go pretty far to the southeast because it'll have to sufficiently clear the Portal Bridge. The Portal Bridge is a 100-year-old bridge that is one of the big culprits of the northeast corridor. It is 2 tracks in disrepair, but I do think it needs to be stayed in service until this new bridge is constructed. Obviously, one needs to construct this bridge right here before they can demolish this bridge right here and replace it with a new bridge. But the final vision is 4 tracks above the Hackensack River. This is very similar to the Tappan Zee Bridge in New York over the Hudson River. They're going to replace the dilapidated existing structure with 2 new spans, but they have to keep the existing span in operation while the 2 new spans are being constructed. So after the Portal Bridge replacement, which will take quite some time, it will have to be done in multiple phases, and I'm going to discuss phases in a little bit. The 2 new tracks will come closer to the existing 2 tracks, and now this is on a viaduct again because this is the Meadowlands, so there is going to be some dirt and it'll be more efficient to just build this on a viaduct, not to mention all the roads the line has to cross. It'll go over the Belleville Turnpike, also known as New Jersey Highway 7, continue on the viaduct. Now right here, this factory may have to be, like, it may lose some parking space, but I don't think the entire building will be compromised. It'll go over the Newark Turnpike right here before finally diverging into 2 separate lines, 2 separate tracks rather, and rejoining the existing section right here in Kearney, Harrison, and Newark Penn Station. So with that out of the way, I'm actually going to show you a PowerPoint slide showing what the phases are of this project. As I was saying, this project will be in 2 phases. Phase 1 will involve the construction of Penn Station North itself. Penn Station needs to be relieved immediately. Also, the tunnels connecting Penn Station North to both Grand Central and under the Hudson River will be constructed through Phase 1. We also have the new 2-track alignment parallel to the northeast corridor through Secaucus, so that viaduct to the north or south of the existing northeast corridor, that's what that is. And we finally have the construction of the new Portal Bridge. This is while keeping all other infrastructure intact. I'm estimating a time of 6 to 7 years for this phase 1 to be complete, though given how the history of New York's public construction has gone, it could be much longer than that. Now after phase 1 is done, we have the phase 2. Now phase 2 will tidy up everything that was done in phase 1 and aim to repair what is existing. So we have the connector from Penn Station north to the East River Tunnel, and we also have the connector, the Amtrak Empire Line. Finally, we will replace the original Portal Bridge. These connecting segments to North Jersey and Rockland County lines, I don't know if they are going to be necessary, depends if those lines themselves come to fruition, but the first, second and fourth bullet will definitely happen during phase 2. This I'm thinking will take a shorter amount of time, 4 to 5 years, because there are no long tunnels or stations that will need to be constructed. The only significant project is replacing the original Portal Bridge. So the total time of all of this will be 10 to 12 years. So let's go back to Google Earth, zoomed out, and summarize what I've just told you. So there you have it, my friends, a proposal relieving the pressures of Penn Station and its connecting tunnels. A new Penn Station will be constructed and a new tunnel will be constructed underneath the Hudson River, not to mention the connection to Grand Central and expansions to the Northeast Corridor all the way down to Newark. This will significantly help aid the infrastructure problem of connecting New Jersey with New York. So many people from New Jersey, probably 160,000, use these two tunnels to get to Penn Station, which is overcrowded. This proposal will relieve all that stress. Not to mention, it will allow more flexibility of trains from the Long Island Railroad, Amtrak, and New Jersey Transit. New Jersey Transit riders will finally have a one-seat access to Eastern Midtown through Grand Central Terminal via this new connection right here. So more flexibility, more capacity, higher quality. Now I may have not mentioned this, but in phase 2, Penn Station, little by little, will need to be renovated. It cannot be renovated now because it's overchoked. But once you build the new Penn Station North, which will be very similar, high quality design as the Grand Central East Side access, you can take apart the existing Penn Station one by one, refurbish it, and provide a good experience. You don't need to take out the existing buildings above Penn Station and make it a nice glass palace to appease customers. So I know this was take 2 on a Webeo. The first take, as I said, I proposed a direct connection from Grand Central to just north of Hoboken, connecting to these 3 North Jersey lines right here. However, directly connecting Grand Central and Penn Station, I think as of now, with more knowledge and more experience doing Webeos, is going to be much more effective. You have trains that can connect New York's 2 busiest stations located in different parts of Manhattan and especially Midtown, Midtown East and Midtown West. The only subway line connecting Midtown West with Midtown East, specifically Penn Station with Midtown East, is an E line. This will significantly reduce overcrowding on an E line especially. All the other lines you would have to transfer, so this will ease the process of getting New Jerseyans to the east side of Manhattan. So I'd like to thank you for watching this Webeo. It has been a pleasure looking back at what I've done more than 2 years ago. That was my 3rd Webeo I'm talking about. That was from November 2014. It is now May 2017 at the time of recording this Webeo, so 2.5 years. My life has gone through so much. I actually just finished my freshman year of college and I'm back in my house recording this. It took some technical work to get this working, but I think it should turn out great. So thank you so much for watching. I hope I see you guys sometime soon. Goodbye.